Hello there. Grown conversation about unholy alliances between Black men and how Black women break the cycle. Grown conversation. I mentioned earlier that I had heard that Bishop Whitehead, with the $1 million worth of stuff that he was wearing when he got caught up and robbed, ended up going to court, getting convicted, having his bond before his sentencing revoked, is trying to ease up by Jamal Bryant, pimp preacher, took over Eddie Long's church, with settled the case on the perverted side over some boys. But because he settled the case, I can't say that they actually did it. It was alleged. Jamal Bryant allegedly has multiple children out of wedlock out there and was caught trying to charge people for $1,000 to do a drive-through to get COVID tested. It got found out and shut down, but that's what he was about to do during the middle of the pandemic. That's a pimp preacher. He's got a long record of foolery. Bishop Whitehead, who just got convicted of ripping off a mother and her son, is trying to ease up over by him. Also, Jay Morrison, his fund just blew up. The Black House was sold and everybody's money is gone. Now he's beginning to try to talk Christian talk and get over by the church since Dr. Boyce Watkins, who's been shielding him for 10 years, can no longer provide him enough coverage. Now, I'm not going to spend any more time going into the details of those cases because, see, Yvette Carnell has already shethered with she others, uh, Boyce Watkins and Jay Morris. It's in the description. Pam Esquire, the law intellect, has already covered what's happening with Bishop Whitehead, who got convicted, was told by the court, don't be showing confidential documents, watch what you say. We're letting you out on bond until we sentence you. Um, got that revoked after acting a fool. She already covered it with the legal documents. It's in the description. I didn't come on here to talk about them because it's beginning to be a waste of time to just talk about the malfeasance of Black men who we want to pretend are in authority. But I need you to understand the unholy alliance is the failing pimps are trying to get over by the church pimps with more longevity. And as I said to you earlier, if you allow yourself as a Black woman to be in an abusive environment for too long, your daughter learns it's okay to be abused. Your son learns it's okay to be abused and that he gets to grow up and be the abuser. That's his payoff for putting up with it. I've said that to you when we talk about certain things happening in churches not that long ago. If you watch Bishop Whitehead and Dr. Boyce Watkins and even Jay Morrison over a long enough period of time, you realize that they were some of those abused sons. The insecurities that they project suggest that they also experience high level abuse, just like the women who are their peers who fall for their schemes. Because remember what I said? Your daughter will learn it's okay to be abused. Your son will learn that it's okay to be abused because sooner or later he gets to grow up and abuse his sister. I said that. You see grown men. I mean, and think about it this way: as African Americans, no more than 6 generations back, all of us are the children of people that were abused. It's called chattel slavery. We got Juneteenth coming up next month, and all kinds of people have been out here now making excuses again as to why that was cool, and a few are talking about why it should be done again. I already showed y'all the pictures about people writing state legislatures with their mothers, their wives, their sisters, and their daughters working in the healthcare industry, accounting for the Black women maternal mortality rate being 4 times as high. How every time a Black mother and child is injured or killed, dies in there, that's God's will to keep the minority population down. That's going on right now. But here's what happens: unless we recognize this is a pattern, we will perpetuate it. See, the other thing that happened, and where I'm really going to go with this, I was watching Alicia Renice, the artist, talk about generation. Why don't we talk about generational blessings? And she talked about, and I'm not talking about anything she hasn't said publicly, about coming to terms with who her father is. Yes, he was abusive, but she also inherited some good things from him. But what I see Alicia doing, or let's say Auntie Love, who has said things about her father I will not repeat because that's not my daddy. But we know publicly that he was at least a pimp. And she has said publicly that her parents were such monsters that what her grandmother helped her do was be able to take the ability. She's an apex predator. She said it many times, but to be able to use that ability as a warrior to defend other Black women and children so that what happened to her does not have to happen anymore. Instead of perpetuating the cycle, Auntie Love is breaking it. Alicia is doing the work to break it. And in Alicia's case, and I say this with all humility because this is not my background. My father is, of course, human and not perfect, but not a predator. My father has never left the load of making a household what it needs to be on my mom. See, I've just never even seen that. Most of my uncles are not like that either. And we got some cousins like that, but those are my father's nephews, and they know he will go back into Air Force mode. Don't come over here with foolery. Nope. You don't come around here, anywhere around here like that. So I have to speak with humility because I don't know what trying to resolve that is like. I have my own set of traumas, but I don't have that. And I don't know how difficult that is. But I do know, and I credit those doing the work to resolve this in a healthy way. Because this is why men in the manosphere and their white counterparts want to get Black women so young. Because they're trying to perpetuate that eternal servitude programming. If you get somebody young enough and you get that person's love, even when you're done with them, the other reason the culture of men will not shut it down is it makes it easier for them to not be the men they're supposed to be. Remember what I said. If you raise your children in an abusive environment, your daughter learns it's okay to be abused. All the next predator has to be is just not as bad as the ones she knows. This is incredibly dangerous because, again, we are in an age of soft grift. And as I was watching Alicia talk about her family members who had addiction, but that was not all that they were about. That's not what they contributed, and how making space for people's contributions and the blessings that they passed on to also be acknowledged. This is a roughly what you would expect a Christian approach would be because there's no asterisk on honor thy father and thy mother. And at the same time, you'd see kings in the Bible who were good kings repudiating their parents and even taking their mothers out of position because they tried to keep up the foolery. So you have to be able to find a balance. If you're a Christian, it's a little bit of an extra burden for you in doing that, which I understand because I am a Christian. But at least it's a way to resolve, okay, this is who this person was. I honor what I can. The rest I have to be honest about, and we're moving on. I can work with that. Auntie Love is definitely not a Christian. She is a self-proclaimed heretical heathen. But even she's able to say, okay, so this is the thing. Nobody messed with me up to a certain age while I was living in a certain neighborhood because everybody knew who my dad was. And my grandmother wasn't going to have it either. So my grandmother set the rules and my father enforced it. And to a certain age, I was a carefully little Black girl in my neighborhood. If you don't make the effort to healthfully resolve this, though, you leave yourself open for the unholy alliance that is taking place. Now, there's two levels of this. There's pimps who are established passers who are taking failing passers under their wing, Jamal Bryant, Bishop Whitehead. And then there are people opening doors for people like Jay Morrison and his busted real estate scheme. So that's them getting into church. But then there's a whole nother level where, again, who benefits actually the most from this going on? Who was it that set up our eternal servitude? White men and women. Not the ones living today. They didn't set up chattel slavery. But you also see white men doing things like marrying Black women. I told you that Shantae Charles had talked about one Black white man who had married his way into a Black family so he could get access to pimp Black women in the church, and accidentally another one thought that she was talking about him directly, and we went to his Twitter page and found all this interesting stuff, and that woman left him by the side of the road, and this man was basically flipping out on every Black woman he found who he felt was talking about him. Remember we talked about that? In the times that are coming, the scramble for resources. Again, why do Black men go ahead and let predators talk about getting Black women as young as possible? And every so often, the lead attorney interviewed Glendon Richardson, who openly said he's dealing with girls as long as 15, an open pedophile. Why is the Black men are not shutting this down? Because it makes their life easier. All they have to do is be a little better than an outright predator, and their foolery will be tolerated. And this is why they have no interest in shutting it down. And neither do white men who are not doing as well, because they think they might hunt down a Black woman and marry her and be able to marry into the pimpdom on the other Black women. So there's two levels of unholy alliances. This is also why law enforcement does not come after these men very quickly, because the higher level power structure is cool with black women staying dang subjugated. It's cool with black men running scams and failing. And when they have a room to fill, hello, Tory Lanez, hello, Bishop Whitehead, when they have somewhere in jail that they want to fill, then they'll come get you at their leisure. But in the meantime, it keeps black people poor and weak. And it keeps you not listening to black women making money, black women building wealth, Marissa Price, Stephanie Perry, Sheeta's on the loose, Picky Girl travels the world, Auntie Love, and me. It keeps you doing things to cope with the situation. It's like Alicia Reed said, we need to realize that people who are involved in addiction are trying to cope with something. But at some point, we have to look at what is the solution to what it is that we're coping with. But what this also means, if you have these unholy alliances that are going on, you cannot be looking outside yourself for help, black women. Not with the mortal men we have around us. Now, there are going to be exceptions to every rule. I know outstanding men of every race. There are exceptions to the rule, but on a day-to-day basis, if you don't want your children to grow up perpetuating servitude by getting an understanding that somehow being abused is okay because either that's my lot in life or I'll be able to compensate myself by becoming the predator, then you have got to figure out how to make changes and you've got to use the resources that are available to you. I can put out a lifeline for you. I can't make you climb it. But I need you to understand the people that you think are going to help you are aligning against you. And I need to say this in May of 2024. I'm going to say what I have been saying. To my hypergamy sisters, first of all, Madam D.A. Fonnie Willis taught us, what did she say? A man is not a plan. You may need to have $100,000 worth of cash in the house just to make sure you're taken care of. But I want you to notice how people came after her and how they came after Letitia James. If somehow Donald Trump does not win this election, who are the most notable Democrats? Now, Black Women Making Money is trying to help us to be more politically savvy on looking at Republicans and Democrats and looking at who's doing what in our interest. Okay? I'm not going to argue that here. I will let y'all know, I'll probably let y'all know when the last day to register is. But the point I'm trying to make right now for you, though, do not think that there is any cavalry coming to get you because black men are openly allying to pimp you out in front of you. Big names. Big passers are trying to rescue little passers and little scammers right now. And you have failing white passers who are trying to marry black women to get back to be able to pimp with the longevity black passers. And that's not when these white men are kissing up on you and writing their state legislatures about wanting to control, not the same men, obviously. But even then, they're more interested in the genetic legacy than they are you. Because if your child marries white and your grandchild marries white in 2 generations, that'll be strengthening European world stock. You have to understand everything going on with demographics and genetics to really get to what I said there. But a lot of times, a lot of these men, particularly if Donald Trump loses, I want you to understand 32% of the country, almost definitely, 30 to 33%, practically a third, no matter what Donald Trump does, they're going to vote for. About 60% of those are men. Those men are not going to disappear in December if Joe Biden wins. They're going to be looking, some of them are going to be looking for revenge. Some of them will do some dumb stuff in December and January as Joe Biden's second inauguration gets close. There's going to be some dumb stuff that happens. Others are going to be more subtle and they're going to go out and look for the people that they associate with Donald Trump's demise. That's you, Black woman. There are so many Black women putting out lifelines. I need you to resolve whatever problems, whatever things are going on in your head. Now, I haven't put out therapy resources for a while because BetterHelp has sort of embarrassed itself. However, I did go back and find Taraji P. Henson's foundation, and I'm also going to put Auntie Love's confidence, self-confidence for Black women course, which will help you identify the patterns that you have that still make you think that you have to be less than and break them. If you're interested in doing that, I suggest you get the money together. Buy her course before you even buy Season the Crypto Bull Run for Financial Freedom. Because if you don't believe you can have better, then there's no point. Whoever the groomer, the abuser was in your life, you need to resolve that so you don't keep repeating the pattern. You need to break the cycle, not only for yourself. Auntie Love's daughter is out there doing what she's doing in her black woman life. Auntie Love's son is also not out there being a predator because allegedly, y'all already know she has said it live. It has something to do with a spit and him being skinned alive. Allegedly, she said it live a couple times. He already knows. No, she broke that cycle for herself and those children. There are a lot of people that have. Level Up Single Mom, Kiana Footman, has broken that cycle for herself and her children, her daughters. There are a lot of success stories in our particular circle. I need us to pay attention to breaking the cycle right now. And when you have your healing, then these other lifelines will make more sense to you. Alicia, what she said today really hurt my heart. Because like I said, I can empathize, but I don't know because my father just was not that person and was not going to allow anybody around me who was a predator like that. I don't know the depth of that experience, but when I heard that, I understood how it is we as a group of women keep getting caught up, keep making excuses for people. So I'm gonna need y'all to do the work you need to do to fix that. Okay? I'm gonna need y'all to do that. I'm gonna need you who are Christians to understand it. I'm gonna put my links to my Bible studies in John and Acts. I need you to understand that Christ and the church he built is not about keeping you in abusive relationships. That's not what Jesus Christ is about. That's not what his true church is about. He's never been about it. He told off men who tried it on different women and said, well, her name's going to be told everywhere. And if you look at the Bible, some of their names won't be said again to the very end. Got to get all the way down to the new heaven and new earth before you even know who the seventh disciple of Jesus even is. Meanwhile, all y'all know about Mary and the alabaster box. I'm trying to tell you, Jesus wasn't with the foolery. Once upon a time, a whole bunch of people found a woman caught in adultery, but forgot to bring the man out there. The Lord, you said, any one of you not involved in it, go ahead and cast the first stone. Made all them men go away. What you mean? Jesus not with the foolery? We've already settled that. If you read it, if you study it, Acts. The church in the book of Acts was not with the foolery. We were not, there were no passes. The first group of people to try to front and act like they were going to do something they weren't died. The Lord snatched them. Excuse me? The Bible talks about the most, pure religion is taking care of the widows and the orphans. And if you're a single mother and you don't have a father supporting you, you would fall into that category. Sir Walter Jones has done good teaching about this. That's channel I can recommend for that. Jesus Christ is not for foolery. His true church is not for foolery. I'm not talking about denomination. I'm talking about if Jesus is there and he's running it, you're not going to be treated like that. That's just not going to happen. So I'm going to need you to educate yourself. If you're a Christian, I'm going to need you to go to the Lord Jesus and ask him by his spirit to lead you to a place that's not abusing you. 85% of us are churched. In passing, I tell women this all the time. Stop fighting over Constantine's seat. Putting a female pastor in Constantine's seat doesn't help because it's the system that's corrupt. That's a video for another time. But occasionally you do meet female pimps. Zala Ali comes to mind. Doesn't happen as, and Juanita Bynum comes to mind. Doesn't happen as often. But getting a female pastor, Auntie Love right here reminds you, y'all need to read They Were Her Property. 40% of slave owners were white women. They have some black women imitators. I have now encountered 2 whole black women talking about they out here living they identify as a white woman. I'm like, oh, okay. So I identify as a descendant of United States colored troops, so you probably don't want to do that. I may or may not ever say that to you openly. We may not even have problems because I won't allow it. But no, that's not gonna work. And when people say that, they're trying to get to that white woman slave owner side. That's just what that is. That's them getting with the sisters, wives, daughters, and mothers of people who think that every black woman death in a single mother death and the death of the children. They're trying to identify with white women who get to live a soft life at everybody else's expense. They're not trying to identify with white women who have, been for the right, because those are not the ones presented for us to see. They exist. But like Muhammad Ali said, you're wasting your time if you're gonna spend your life looking for them. I need us to get serious about realizing these men openly are trying to get positioned to not only continue, but to increase their pimping numbers in front of us. I need you to understand that white men are now trying to get with black women so they can get to the longevity pimps of the black communities, the pastors. Not all pastors are pastors, but there's enough. I need you to seek your healing and to resolve your traumas. I understand that men hunt girls young to set them up for the rest of their lives and the culture of men does not shut it down because they know that if that young girl is broken early enough, that means they're going to be able to continue to run game for the rest of that woman's life. And that's why they don't shut it down. I need you to understand the game and I need you to do the healing necessary to stop playing it. And then roll backwards and get some of these resources that black women have been putting out here for you. And there's some decent black men resources too. There's some decent black men out here putting out material. We're not talking about them right now. We're talking about the ones who are in the unholy alliance and all the black men who will not get together and stand up. Why is Dr. Boyce Watkins still trying to go hard for Jay Morrison and talking about it's a conspiracy to take down black men? It's Vlad TV's fault. That's in the video with Yvette Carnell. Like I said, I'm not talking about foolery here. I need you to see what's in front of you. I need you to check out Pam's video. I need you to check out Yvette's video and understand that the unholy alliance is taking place in front of you. How much more in your face do these men have to get? Big time leaders, pastors, and scammers have to get before you realize this is what's going on and begin to take the steps necessary to stop excusing the abusers and the grifters around you, recognize them for who they are, heal, and then get yourself and your children to safety. Again, it is the calm before the storm. It's May of 2024. Stephanie Perry and Rashida Dow are saying get out of the country before the election. They're not even saying stay and fight. It's getting to them, from their point of view, it's getting that ridiculous. Get out of town. But if whether you stay or go, you have to have things that will allow you to sustain yourself. And in order to build those things, you've got to stop going in circles with your trauma. You've got to stop doing things that are coping, but are also taking time for you that you need. You need to address the trauma. You need to stop thinking that people who are working together to get you back on some kind of plantation are coming to save you. They are not. Jesus saves, but some of you are not Christians. For those of you that are, Jesus saved by leading you away from error. Lead us not into what? Temptation. Please let him lead you. He has sent his servant to inform you. You need to stop with the foolery. Come to him and allow him to send you to resources. Maybe you need to listen to all of the Bible study in John and Acts so that you know that you're not even in a church. You want a plantation. He has sent his maidservant to tell you, for those of you that are Christians. Now, for those of you that aren't, hey, Auntie Love is out there. She out there for you. I can't say nothing about that per se because I'm not called to do that. But as a Christian, I'm telling you, Jesus telling you, come to him and get it straight. And I'm going to leave some resources, some Bible studies, some Bible studies, some therapy resources, and some things in there that have been reasonably vetted. And beneath that, if you want to see what Pam and Yvette had to say about, what do we call them, the men's, I heard black women making money. Yvette Carnell used that term too. You want to learn about the men, that'll be below that. I love y'all. And if you are honorable black men listening, then you need to get this together so you can protect yourself, the wife, and the children that you have. This is not directed at you. God bless you. Keep your life together. Keep doing what you're doing. But I'm talking mostly to black women. Please get your life together so you save yourself and your children. All right. Y'all have a good day now. Bye.